Well, hello there, amazing business owners. I am so excited to get this episode out to you. We recorded it a few months ago and then everything crazy happened. And so I have been sitting on it and I really, really want to put it into your ears, put it into your hearts and into your brains because it's something that I feel so strongly about. Today's episode is featuring an amazing businesswoman named Shafonne Myers, who runs a blog and a personal brand. And actually it's grown into something so much bigger, specifically for plus size brides. And you may be wondering, what the heck does this have to do with business skills, Brooke? So hear me out. Today, we are going to talk about self-love. And I know that seems like it might be a little woo-woo, like what the hell does this have to do with anything in my business? But I promise you that when you start to actually be yourself completely, unapologetically, because you love and accept yourself, your business will change exponentially. You will see your voice, you will see your purpose, and you will see your why come through so much more in your messaging. And the people who you are meant to work with will be attracted to you like crazy. It will grow so much. So today, we are going to talk about how self-love affects your business. The first step that is crazy uncomfortable, even for me, to start working on so that you can start taking steps when it comes to being authentic in your business and trusting in yourself and believing in yourself. So what exactly does that look like? How can you make that happen? Today's episode is something that is so important and that I believe so strongly in because I have worked with women in my boudoir photography business in my studio for so many years. And I can tell you, we all have insecurities. Even the most confident people still struggle with it at times. So buckle up, throw in the ear pods. Thanks so much for pressing play. And I'm excited for you to hear this episode. Have an amazing day. Let's get going. Hey there, awesome people. I am Brooke Summer, and you are listening to Business Straight Up, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs to learn, connect, grow, and build the business and life that they dream of. Welcome. Let's get going and dive right in. Hello, amazing business owners. I am so excited to welcome today's guest and share some amazing insight with you. Shafonne Myers is a self-love and body positivity coach that focuses on helping plus-size women confidently find the courage within themselves to be themselves. And if you're listening to this thinking, I'm not plus size and I don't need a body positivity coach, slow down, because I am 100% certain that today's episode will really hit home in a lot of ways. I have spent the last year really moving towards being kinder to myself and fiercely loving myself. And I can tell you that when you love yourself, embrace your confidence, and radically trust yourself, you will see amazing changes in your life and your business. So I am thrilled to welcome Shafonne. Thank you so much for being here, Shafonne. I am excited to have you.
Oh, yay. Of course. I'm so excited to be here. And I always love sharing that self-love message. And I loved that you kind of prefaced it with you do not have to be plus size to be able to get something from this message, because trust me, I work with a lot of clients that are not, and we all deal with it. We all deal with it.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. So my first business is as a boudoir photographer. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I had a client come in who was a size 0, blonde hair, blue eyes, perfect boobs. Everything seemed Barbie doll-ish. And she told me that she was still made fun of. And at that point, it hit me that there is no measuring up to these unrealistic expectations that we may as well love ourselves. And it doesn't matter what size you are. Loving yourself is a radical revolution in an industry where people make billions off of your insecurity. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Love this message.
I was like, when you just said that, I was like, oh my gosh, it is a radical revolution. I was like, yes, it really, and it really is. It's so true. I feel like I cannot say it enough, because it is so true. And it is what they are definitely getting paid on all of our insecurities. So yes, so true.
You would think that being rebellious would mean something different, right? Instead of just loving yourself, but it really is a rebellious act.
Oh
Ugh,
yeah. Oh yeah.
absolutely. So I'll start from the beginning. I remember meeting you in line for the food trucks at a business conference. We were hot and we're like, just hurry up. We need a hamburger. And as soon as you said that you work with plus size brides and self love and acceptance, I was like, yes, we need to talk. Can you tell me a little bit? Right? Can you tell me a little bit about your story, your journey, and what has brought you to this point in your business and in your life?
Oh my gosh, yes. And so it is so funny because we were so hot. Like it
Oh
really
my
was
gosh, we were
super hot
roasting
that
right in the
day.
sun.
We were. So I started out as a plus size bride, and that's really where I got a lot of the determination for what I do now, because as a plus size bride, I saw nothing. Now, I'm going to date myself because I know so in March, so next month, oh my God, next month, I'll have my 16th year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
So
Congratulations.
yes, thank you. And so that dates me, but that it also shows that from 16 years ago to now, we've come a ways, but we have so far to go.
Yes.
And when I was the bride, it was nothing. Like it was no blog for us. It was no magazines that showed us. There were no images that we could see that looked like us. And I think
Right.
that was my main driving force, is that I've always been that type. And I was a planner too. So I planned weddings, I did weddings. And then when I got married, I was like, oh my gosh, there's nothing out here. And I was like, all right, I'm going to raise my hand and I'm going to be the one to create something. Um,
Yes.
and it is, because that's how it is. If it's not there and there's that void or that gap, then that's where you step in and you create.
Right.
So I created Pretty Pear Bride, and it has truly transformed others as well as myself. Because when I created it and when I started out, I was like, I just want to see imagery that looks like me. I just want to go to a blog and see someone that is my size, that is my shape, that is not the typical size 2, 4, 6 that you see in the magazines. And
Yes.
so that was my inspiration. That's what I like the whole time. I've had it almost 10 years. So that was always my purpose, was to just create that imagery. And I will say that I started to realize, once I really started taking that step with my business and making it to where, okay, this is something that all plus size women can learn. Like all plus size women can learn, not just a plus size bride, that loving herself and being able to look at herself like she looks at other women. Because this is the thing, when we're looking at other women, we're not as critical to other women as we are to ourselves. Because
Right.
when I'm seeing them, I'm like, oh my gosh, she looks amazing. Look at her in that dress. Look how great she looks. But on the inside, I'm saying nowhere near that to myself, about myself.
Right.
And I really started to notice that it was not just about the imagery, that it was about so much more. And that's where I really started to kind of make some changes for myself. And I noticed a lot of things in myself. And I was like, okay, what can I do to translate from bridal to all plus size women? And that's when I really started to realize that I was loving myself more. And that was the difference between some of the clients that I was working with and some of the brides that were coming to me, and even the brides coming to the site. It's like they didn't love themselves. They loved other people. They were able to say they looked great, but they couldn't say the same thing for themselves. And so that's when I decided, okay, I need to make this is bigger than just plus size bridal. It was, I started doing the personal brand and kind of branching off from not just Pretty Pear Bride, but to Shafonne Myers. And kind of my platform is the self-love and body positivity for plus size women. So it's not just in the bridal realm, but it's in the whole lifestyle realm for plus size women. And it really has been a transformation for myself as well as other women. And it's something that is just not talked about enough. And I'm just so excited to kind of bring it to the forefront, and not just in the bridal world, but in the plus size lifestyle world as well.
I absolutely love this. And I am just sitting over here. I had to mute my microphone because I'm like, yes, girl, yes. Oh my gosh. And dare I say, not just plus size. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Like all women, we have such a critical eye for ourselves. And if you're saying something to yourself that you wouldn't say to your best friend, you shouldn't be saying it to you either.
Girl, yes. Mm,
Oh my gosh. So
yes. Yes. Yes.
let's talk about self love. So, I'm a larger woman, and I know that traditionally our culture has really valued being thin, which has caused some internal struggle for me in the past. And there are some things I still struggle with. But I've also
Mhm.
learned with what I do in boudoir that we all have our little insecurities and things that we don't really love about ourselves, no matter what size we are. So, what is one thing that you have seen that can really help someone move forward in their journey to really embrace who they are and love themselves fiercely?
Well, I love that. Love themselves fiercely. I think because I get this question a lot, I really do. I get where it's like, okay, what can I do? Where can I start
Mhm,
that I don't need to get someone to help me with it? I can start right now.
mhm,
And the whole part of loving ourselves, and people say it all the time, oh, I love myself. Okay, I need you to say that.
mhm.
And they're like, ooh. And I'm like, no, and not just say it like I'm looking at a quote on Instagram and say, oh, I love myself. I'm amazing. I
Mhm.
look gorgeous. I'm beautiful. No, no, no. Like stand in the mirror, look at yourself and say it. And
Yes.
then it's like, oh, yeah, I'm not sure about that one. So that is literally anyone who comes into work with me, anyone who I talk to through the site, anyone who I come in contact with. And I'm always like, that's where you start. I need you to start working on saying, I love myself and truly meaning it. And then being able to look at myself and say it. Because I think you can get to the point where you'll say it and you feel like you kind of mean it. But then when you look at yourself in the mirror and you're saying it and you're looking at yourself and really internalizing it, that can sometimes be that hurdle that people are scared to overcome. But once they do, they're like, oh my goodness, I feel totally different about myself because I'm not just saying it. I'm not just like, willy nilly saying it and putting it out, but I'm actually believing it and saying it. And I think that's where
Yes.
people can start on their own, no help, just that's where you can start and truly
Yes.
believing what you're saying.
Yes. I found so kind of weird. I don't know if it's just me, but for me to say I love myself and for me to stand in front of a mirror and say I love you, Brooke, that's a different thing for me.
Yep. Yeah.
That's hard.
And even I have a client who I'm working with, and so we went through those steps and she was getting better. And then I was like, okay, I'm about to throw a monkey wrench in it. And we had worked together and we were like, okay, what are the things that you aren't so happy about with yourself right now? And so we made a list and I said, okay, we're pulling the list out. I need for you to actually talk to that part.
Mhm.
So for her, it was her arms. And so I said, all right, we've mastered the saying, I love myself. We've mastered the saying that I am empowered. I am, all the things that you can say. But
Mhm.
now I'm going to take it one step further and look at that body part that you do not love as much. And I want you to look at that body part and I want you to talk to that body part because in your mind, you're saying all types of negative things about that body part. But now I want you to say something positive about it. I want you to talk about it like you love it. And that is also a step that is huge because for so long we have those parts that we don't like that we're constantly saying negative things about. And now you want me to look at that part and talk to that part and say positive things about that part and how that part helps me. Yeah, that can be a little hard.
It's hard and it's also hard to kind of accept the whole talking to a body part thing. Or at least it was for me. Like, I'm going to talk to my arm and be like, arm, you're pretty hot. It just felt really weird. But I actually deal with autoimmune and arthritis. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to tell myself, you are healthy. I am healthy. And yes, it might hurt today, but it doesn't mean tomorrow is shot. And I really have to tell myself these things. Otherwise, it's very easy to just wallow in the
Mm-hmm.
crap that hits us.
Yes, and it's so funny because this specific client, she was so hesitant. Like, she was like, Shafonne, you want me to do what? She was like, dude, it just feels so crazy.
It
And I was
does.
like, I know. And I told her, I was like, girl, I know it does. And then she came back a couple sessions, and because it was something I had her do every week. And then we upped how much she did it. And then she came to me and she was like, okay. She was like, I literally thought you were crazy. I thought you were crazy. I thought you were, but I realized that it works.
Yes.
It works. And I was like, oh man, yes. Like, it just made me so happy because it does, but you have to realize that it does. And that was the part. I was so excited.
Well, and it takes the action too, right?
Yes, 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 yes.
Because so many of us are like, we can just manifest whatever we want, but there's also action that comes into that.
Mm-hmm. You have to couple it with the action, because that inspired action, like that, I feel like sometimes is even more of a trigger than actually just saying something. It's like that, like it's just the thinking. It's just so much more when you moved into that inspired action aspect of it.
Yes. So when it comes to self-love, that includes the confidence and trusting yourself, which can be a really crazy concept for someone that isn't entirely comfortable with themselves. What does that look like in a business?
Oh, yes. Oh, this is like my favorite question, because it's so funny, because when I started off, and like I said, I've always been in the plus size world. So I've been in the plus size world. I never really got into the business. I had my own business and I was always around other business owners, but I never had people coming to me about something specific.
Mm-hmm.
And once I realized that this whole concept of self-love coupled with running your business, and how much not having that self-love and not having that love for yourself affects our business, oh, it was like crazy town for me, because it put so many things together. So, and I'll give you some my experiences. For me, the reason why I felt like I was in my business for so long, not getting it to where it needed to be, is I always thought that it was about business. Mm-hmm. Literally, I went to a coach who I was interviewing, and I was like, dude, I just need business help. I was like, for real. I was like, I just need some help with trying to figure out how to do this, trying to figure out how to do this, all business things. And she sat there and she listened to me and she was like, okay, Shafonne, okay. And I was like, why aren't you like, okay, why aren't you telling me that this is what she's like, because you don't need that.
The secret, right?
Like, yeah, I was like, well, okay, literally, I was like, that's a change. And so she was like, you don't need that, Shafonne. She was like, you have more business knowledge than I have. And I was like, oh, yeah, let me see, I kind of do. And so, just thinking in your, like, you know what I'm saying? You're like, oh,
yep.
kinda. But she was like, you don't need business help. She was like, you need help in loving yourself and help in realizing the potential that you have. And I was like, girl, please. I was like, get out of here. I was like, no, there's no way. But then she literally started, she was like, okay, how long have you had your business and where is it today? Well, I was like, well, I've had it, at the time I was like, I've had it almost 8 years and it's definitely not where I want it to be. And so she was like, why is that? I was like, oh, because I need business. She was like, no. She was like, you are afraid for some reason to move forward. You are not showing up for a reason. And I was like, okay. And then she started digging deeper and she was like, and we started unpacking. And it literally was all because I did not want to show up because I did not feel confident in myself. Yes. And it had nothing to do with my business knowledge at all. Because I could go and talk the pants off of anyone business knowledge wise. But it was the part that I didn't feel comfortable in myself. I didn't love myself enough to be able to step out and be that visible person that I would need to be to take my business to the next level.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, girl, stop playing. I was like, wow. And of course, I was like, sold, sign me up. Okay, let's go.
Right?
So, yes.
And how many of us buy courses and want to learn the next new trick? And you're like, well, it must be Instagram. I need to get good at Instagram. Or it must be good at this. I need to get good at this. And we aren't really dealing with those underlying issues. And because of that, we'll never really step into what we can do and the possibility that's there for us.
Yes. And I think it's scary because you really are on that hamster wheel of like investing in all these things and investing in all these, like you said, the next, social media thing, the next funnel hack, the next sales strategy. And it's like, and even when I think of myself, it's been so many. And I'm just like, if I would have just taken a step back and been like, do I truly love myself and where I am right now?
Yes.
No, I actually don't. I could have saved so much time. I could have saved so much money. Granted, it all happens for a reason. So It was part of the journey for sure. But it just would have made me realize things so much quicker to where I could have been so much farther and in a quicker amount of time.
Well, and not to imply that courses are bad. I'm a course junkie. I learned so much, but sometimes I go through these courses and I haven't really implemented any of the details. And it's not because it's a bad course. It's because I personally wasn't ready to do that from where I was at.
Yes. And I agree, because I am raising my hand as a course junkie, as a fellow course junkie. And it is. And it's just like one of those things where I started to really change how I felt about myself. It's like I wanted to show up more and I wanted to learn what was in those courses, because now I feel comfortable. I feel confident implementing what's in those courses. Whereas before I was like, it's okay. I don't need that right now. I need something else. But no, It's like if you kind of take a step back and realize, no, you need to look at yourself first, because honestly, when you are able to love yourself, you are able to start becoming the person you are meant to be, the person that you are destined to be, the business owner that you're meant to be. And that's what people don't realize. That's the part that is that gap that people don't understand.
That's the magic pill, right?
It sure is. It sure is. It sure is.
What is it, the blue pill or the red pill?
It's so funny because it is the magic pill. But people don't realize that it's the magic pill.
Well, once you love yourself, you can learn anything you want to learn.
Oh, yeah.
And you can put anything into play.
And it becomes natural and it becomes easy. And it's like stuff just comes out of you. You're like, where did that come from? And you're like, I don't know, girl, but I love myself. So that I'm going to chalk it up to that. So.
Right. What changes have you seen in your business since you have really started embracing who you are and loving that person so that you can better show up and serve your clients or your students?
Oh, wow. So many. And I think that they really started when I started. I think it really started when I realized that there was an issue and it wasn't a business thing and it was something within myself. And so once I realized that, it's like, it literally is like the glasses came off and the fog was gone and like it wasn't cloudy. And I was like, okay, you know what? I now need to do this. So now I'm literally speaking all over the world, talking about business strategies, talking about how to love yourself, talking about my demographic plus size women all over the world to people. And I always knew that I would do something like that and I wanted to, but it was always like, oh, it's not here yet. Oh, I'm not ready yet. Oh, this, oh, that. But once I kind of stepped into these shoes of knowing, you know what, I am ready because I love what I have right now. I'm comfortable in my own skin and I'm ready to take this stuff on. So the speaking engagements are coming. The contracts are coming that I never even thought that I could get with these clients that are like, you know what, I want to work with you. And I'm like, okay, well, before I would have been like, oh, I'm not comfortable saying how much this is right now. I'll send you something. Now, oh, no, this is how much it is. Let me know. Here's the link. Let's go ahead and close the deal with the phone. Like, It just makes you so much more confident in yourself when you are comfortable with yourself. And that's the whole part of it.
You step up instead of playing small.
Yes. And you don't hide. Like, there is no more hiding. Like, I don't need to be the person in the back who's not asking the questions. I'm the person asking the questions if I don't understand. And I think that's something from a business owner standpoint. I feel like, and it takes me back to like high school. because it is. Oh, girl, Lord have mercy. Like I literally have a flashback.
Yes.
But it does, because when I look back, and like I said, and when I was in college, I was a super confident person. I've always been a super confident person, but it was very surface confidence. It was it was surfaced, where it was like, that's what people saw. But internally, a lot of it was dealing with that self-doubt, about the struggles of comparison, about the struggles of judgment, the fear that everyone has. I had it, but people didn't see it because I had surface confidence. And until I realized that that surface confidence was not enough to really prepare me to where I need to go, then that's when I was like, okay, I have to dig deeper. And I think about being in high school, and I was that person sometimes that would not ask the questions, that would not speak up when I didn't understand something, that would not do those things that I saw other people doing. And I think of that now, and I'm like, oh, there's so many people out there that are in their business that might not ask that question, might not ask for that sale, of that person that's literally sitting there saying, I have been praying for you, but you are not confident enough in yourself to speak up and say, I'm that person.
Yes. And that's so real. Like someone told me you could be the answer to someone's prayers.
Yes.
So true.
When I heard that, I was like, oh, wow. And I think that is something that just working on getting comfortable with yourself. And I said it to one of my clients that I had a meeting with today. She was like, I'm just waiting for this confidence. Like, cause we're dealing with a situation to where she was like, well, what's stopping you from doing this right now in your business? And she was like, I'm just not confident enough. I'm just not confident enough. And I was like, okay. I was like, so you think that the confidence is going to make you do this? So confidence is going to make you step up and ask for that sale? And she was like, well, I don't know. And I was like, no, it has nothing to do. The confidence comes from you stepping out and saying, I love myself. That's where the confidence comes from. It comes once you start feeling a certain way. It's not something that just happens. Oh, I need confidence. No, it happens once you start feeling a certain way about yourself. The confidence just comes from that. And it's so, people just don't get that. People don't understand that.
Yes. And really, what does confident enough mean? Like, it drives me crazy when people use the word enough. When will it be enough? What is the sign that it will be enough? What is the measurement of enough?
Yes. Oh, good questions. Yes, girl. I need you to coach a call. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I love this. So you said that in actuality, it's how we feel about ourselves that stops us in our tracks. And I have found this to be so true. How do you see this hurt a business and eventually spill over into someone's personal life?
Oh, good question. So when I'm trying to make sure I say because I have a good example, but it's not necessarily about business. But so I want to direct it to business.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I want to do the other example and then I'll bring it back to business. So I have a client that I was working with, and she was like, okay, Shafonne, I am not sure. And I posed the question to her. She was like, I feel like I'm not showing up in my relationship the way I need to. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. And she was like, I feel that it's because of how my significant other feels about me. I think that they think these things about me. I feel that they feel these things about me. And that's what's stopping me. And I was like, okay. So you feel that they feel a certain way about your body. So that's why you are not doing something. And she was like, yes, it's all about them. It's all about how they feel. And that's keeping me stuck. That's keeping me from not showing up full-heartedly in this relationship. And I was like, I was like, now I'm going to pose something to you. And I said, well, what if we were to turn it around? I was like, well, how do you feel about yourself? And so she's like, no, it's not about me. It's 100% about them. Like, it's all about them. It's all about them. And I was like, well, let's see. How do you feel about yourself? And then when I asked her the question, she was like, I don't really feel that well because I am thinking about how he's feeling. So I think it's about how me. I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, how you feel is what you're feeling. It has nothing to do with him. I was like, for real? They're just excited to be in a relationship with you. All these things that you're thinking about yourself is on you and
Yep.
how you're feeling.
Yep.
And she was mind blown. So when we think about it in our business, you think about that you are thinking that someone doesn't want to hire you for something. You are thinking that someone doesn't want to sign up for something because of how they feel about you. When really, it's all about how you feel about yourself that is keeping you from doing whatever you think they're thinking, because they're not thinking that deep into it. They're not being held up by how you feel about yourself from not making a decision. It's about how you feel about yourself that's tainting the whole situation. And that's what people don't realize, that where it's like, you're the one stopping yourself. None of these external factors are playing a part in it at all.
Yes. And when you truly love yourself, then the people who come up against you and want to tear you down, the haters, all that stuff, it's so much easier just to say goodbye.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It literally, it's so funny. It bounces off of you. And
Yep.
my kids always are like, Mom, don't use that. That's so silly. I'm like, but it really does. Like
Yes.
it doesn't phase you. You're like, okay, next one. If they don't want to buy it, it's not because of me. It's because in some situation, they're not ready. They have something, and that's fine. On to the next one. It's an easier recovery time. You're able to recover from it easier because you realize it's not about you anymore. You take that out of it.
It's so true.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that you had mentioned body positivity, and I have kind of a love-hate relationship with the whole body positivity movement.
Oh, and most do, yes.
Primarily because while I love body positivity and inclusivity and including so many different body types, I feel like it's become a way to shame women for not being completely in love with their bodies, which kind of defeats the point of why it was started. So really, self-love, both physically and otherwise, is quite a journey. It's not an overnight thing. You're not just going to all of a sudden decide, oh, hey, I love myself. And telling someone to be happy with themselves can only go so far. Mm-hmm. So what does a coach do in that process? I know we talked about a little bit about what you do. What does a coach do to help you with that?
The way I always like to look at it is that I can tell you, and you can find plenty of stuff where I talk about different steps to take. I can tell you all day long the different steps to take. But number one, most people do try to do it on their own. Most people do try to do it by themselves. And the thing that I always tell people is, how long have you been doing that on your own? Mm-hmm. How long have you been trying to do this on your own? And they're like, oh, I've been working on it, for years.
20 years.
And I'm like, yes.
Yep.
Because you cannot push yourself. You cannot have yourself get out of your own comfort zone. Though it's so funny. It's one thing I saw a movie, and in the movie, the guy was like, oh, you cannot bite yourself or harm yourself to where you're going to bleed like yourself. You physically can't. You can get something to do it, but you cannot physically do it yourself. And so I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true. Because you're not going to get yourself out of the comfort zone. You're not going to push yourself to where it's painful enough to do something like that. That's where a coach can come in. Because for me, most of the people I work with, this is not something that they're just experiencing right now. They've been experiencing it for a long time. And they've been experiencing all the things that happen because they don't feel comfortable about themselves, because they don't love themselves. And they've gotten to the point where they're like, I'm just done. I cannot do this on my own. That's where I'll come in and I walk them through different steps. I walk them through different tools. We'll do different things that really help them figure out, okay, I do have a fear of this. This is a belief that I have. This is a story I've been telling myself, but I didn't realize it because I could not have pushed myself to the point of realizing that. And that's where a coach really comes in, to kind of guide you through and show you the how. I can tell you all day what it is, but I really can show you what that how is and how to do things.
And the accountability that comes with that too.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Yes. So Rachel Hollis, I don't know if you've read her books. I know
some people. I have.
Some people hate them, some people love them, whatever. But in her most recent book, Girl Stop Apologizing, she gave the analogy of the vase. She said it's not hers, but I don't remember where it came from. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that if a vase constantly tips and rocks to water everything around it and take care of everything around it with water, it will eventually fall and shatter. But if the vase is filled up first and overflows, it will naturally spill out and water everything around it. So what are some things that you do or you've coached your clients to do to fill your own vase, so to speak, or your cup to really take care of yourself first?
And I love that analogy. And I have read her books. That's such a good analogy. And a lot of people use that analogy and I love it.
Yes.
So first things first, the first thing, and it's actually, I'm doing a challenge that I'm going to be doing in next week. And it's talking about all the things that you can do, these missing keys that people don't realize that they can do on their own to really help feed into this self-love. And I think one of the main ones that really goes into the whole self-care is putting yourself first. And I think, and I take a breath because this is one that's even hard for me. When you're a wife, when you're a mother, when you're a sibling, a daughter, whatever, you are being pulled in so many different directions. And it's so easy for us to be pulled in all those directions, and we are the last one on the list. And if your to-do list is like my to-do list, anything that ends up at the bottom is going to be put on to the next day. Yep. And it becomes a cycle to where that thing is literally put on the list every day and it never gets touched. And that's how I feel we get to be sometimes with ourselves, to where we're always that last thing. So if we can start really getting the concept of putting ourselves in the top things on the list, even if it's small, like there's so many small things that you can do for yourself that can make a huge difference. So that's one of them. Another one that I always say is being happy. I am someone, I love to laugh. Literally, I will laugh at everything and I laugh hysterically and it's very obnoxious. And then
me too.
I snort and it's bad.
Yes. I laugh really loud, like in movie theaters too. And my son and my husband are like, can you just be quiet? I'm like, it was funny.
Yes, I know. And it's like, but I think that laughing keeps me so grounded because that lets me know I'm happy. And that happiness is something that we tend to really, once again, put last on the list for ourselves. Is that as long as everyone else is happy and as long as everyone else is good, then that makes us happy. When really, we've forgotten about ourselves once again. Yes. So there are little things that you can start infusing into your life that bring happiness to you, that bring joy to you. Another one is gratitude. Every day when I wake up, I make a list, and I'm a list of what I'm grateful for today, what I'm grateful for. And those just remind me that even in my bad time and my bad days, I have been grateful for something that happened to me today. And that's huge. Those two things, the happiness and the joy and the grateful, have been mind-blowing for me. Because when I think that I'm having a bad day or that I've had a bad day, I look at that and I'm like, actually, you know what? I'm grateful. I had some really good things to happen.
Yep.
So it really helps. Those are some immediate things that I'm always like, these are some things that are huge that can easily be infused into your life.
Yes. And for me, like I used to try to do the gratitude thing, but I was writing down the same thing every day.
Yep.
I was writing down, my kids and my health and stuff like that. And it's not that I wasn't grateful for those things, but I actually switched it up a little bit to write down moments of joy. So little things that happened every day that brought me joy. Same thing, same idea. But it was things like last night, my daughter and I literally spent like an hour planning a Valentine's Day cake. I don't know why, just because we did, but it was so fun. And she's only 5. So she's like got all these ideas and all this stuff. And that really brought me joy. And I had so much fun with that. And so focusing on that before bed has been huge for me.
It is. And it's just those little things. People think that it's like, you have to do so much and it has to be so many things. And, I can't start because I just don't have time for all that. And I'm like, it's these little things that you can do and that you can start doing that really make a huge difference, and they add up over time.
And it doesn't have to be a spa day.
No, people, yes. As much
Oh
as I
my
love the
gosh.
spa days, I cannot do
Yes.
the spa days all the time. Like, come on,
No.
no.
Well, and sometimes I feel like self-care can just be saying no to things too. Like when
Yes.
you're,
Oh, I love that. That's one of the things that we do in the chat. That is one of the things. Yes. Yes.
yes, like when someone asks you to do something and you know that saying yes will really stretch you and just turn your day into kind of a shit show, it's okay to say no.
Oh, and it's so funny because whenever I do that one, everyone's like, "Can I do that?" I'm like,
Yes.
"Heck yeah, you can do that.
Yes.
Why do you think you can't?" But and
Right?
that it is, and that one is, I love that, and that's one that I actually do during the challenge too. Is literally make a list of each, and it's like, make sure you're taking more from me, and people just are like, "I can't do that." I was like, "And why can't you? Like, you can easily do that."
Right?
People think they can't, they really do.
Yeah, it's so freeing to just say no. And it's so funny because it was like the 80s dare thing, remember? Just say no.
Yes.
So now instead of drugs, it's unreasonable expectations and obligations.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. I know exactly.
You know, the important things.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh, wow. I just, my listeners all know how strongly I believe in all of this. I am so all for loving yourself, believing in yourself, and trusting yourself. And my first business being in boudoir photography has really, really, really shown me that. And the struggle is real. And I want everyone to know that it doesn't matter what you look like. We all have things that we need to deal with to fully step into ourselves and be the person that we are meant to be and embrace those gifts. Thank you so much, Shafonne, for sharing your insight. This is something that is so needed in the business world and something we don't often talk about, really.
Oh yes, you were so welcome. I'm so excited. Thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing me to share my message. I so appreciate it.
Oh, I love it. If you are listening to this and you've made it through this far and you just love it and you're thinking, oh girl, my sister, my girlfriend, my daughter, or anyone else really needs to hear this and you want to help them, please share this episode. I would be so grateful. And if you have an extra minute or two, can you head on over to iTunes and leave a review? The reviews mean so much to me and my team and my guests, and they give us feedback for what you love so that we can serve you even more in the future. Thank you so much, Shafonne, for being here. Where can people find out more about you? Website, upcoming fun stuff? What can we share?
Sure. So website is ShafonneMyers.com, and it is S as in Sam, HAF as in Frank, ON as in Nancy, N as in Nancy, MYERS.com. And so I have all information there about my own podcast that I have. I have information there about if you want to work with me. I have information about an upcoming challenge that I have. It is 5 days to plus size self-love, so that you can come in and really embrace yourself and find simple ways, I like to say, for you to really move into being confidently yourself. So thank you so much. And I'm at all social handles at Shafonne Myers too.
That's perfect. I am so excited to see your challenge, see what you do with this amazing message, because it's something that we need not only for plus size women, but for all women. And I'm finding out even men too. Quite frankly, it's just not something we talk about a lot in the business area. So I think it's so important to start paying attention to that. It's a skill that we can learn. And just like any skill, it takes some time, but it's so worth the time.
Yes, I totally agree.
So have an amazing rest of your day. All of the listeners, may you go out and do amazing things with your gift. And if you have any questions, as always, head on over to the Business Straight Up community at businessstraightup.com/community, and we will talk soon. Thank you so much for listening to Business Straight Up. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Check out the show notes for this and all of the episodes at businessstraightuppodcast.com. And I can't wait to talk with you again. Have a great day.